Let's see what a wild algae comes from fallen drupes. What is a drupe? In botany, a drupe is a indehiscent fruit in which an outer fleshy part, exocarp or skin, and mesocarp or flesh, so an outer fleshy part surrounds a shell, the pit, stone, or pyrene, of hardened endocarp with a seed inside. So a botany is a fruit in which is an indehiscent fruit, which basically means like a splitting of maturity. Um, I'll just click on it. Dehiscence is the splitting at maturity along a built-in line of weakness in the plant structure. And let's just go right back. I don't want to get too much into that. So a drupe is what? It's a fruit that has an outer fleshy part that surrounds a shell, and inside of it is a seed. So now you understand what that is, but let's read on because I'm going to go right back to that. Isolated trees are scattered. Wait a minute. Wild olive trees are scattered? Wait a minute. Who else was scattered? Deuteronomy 28:64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even with a stone. That's talking about the children of Israel. So the children of Israel was what? They were scattered. Do we got any more scriptures to prove that? Alright. As you can see, it ain't really even fully lower right. That's why the page look messed up. But maybe these guys deal with this. This is Jeremiah 9 verse 14 to 16. But have walked after the imagination of their own heart, and after Balaam which their fathers taught them. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. I will scatter them, who are Israel, also among the heathen, whom they nor their fathers have known, and I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. So Israel was scattered, just as how what? A wild olive tree is scattered. Alright, back online. Fucking internet connection wanna fuck up and shit. Jeremiah 31:10, another scripture speaking about how Israel was scattered. Hear the word of the Lord, all ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as the shepherd doeth his flock. So let's go back to a characteristic of a wild olive tree. Many of these spring from the old roots, others are from the fallen drupes, isolated trees scattered over many parts of the land, especially in Galilee. So this as a wild olive tree is scattered over many parts of the land. Israel was scattered over many different parts of the land, many different parts of the earth, especially in Galilee, and are sown by the birds. Now, what is a drupe? We mentioned a drupe before. A drupe is what? A drupe is a fruit, right? An innocent fruit that has an outer fleshy part that surrounds a shell, and inside is a seed, as you see this diagram here. You want to see what a drupe is now. So these isolated trees are scattered over many parts of the world, especially in Galilee, and they are sown by birds. When something is sown means to scatter. Now, how does it become scattered? What do birds, drupes, and all of that have in common? Or should I say how do they relate, which causes this wild olive tree to become scattered? Let's look it up. Hastings Bible Dictionary. Hastings Dictionary of the Bible. The wild olive is a kind of reversion to the primitive plant such as occurs when the fig and the almond, and it takes place whenever the growth of the olive is neglected. You see? Thus the little shoots which grow around the main trunk are of wild variety, and all those growing from the self-sown drupe. According to the Fellaheen of Galilee, the drupe germinates. When something is germinates, it grows. The drupe germinates in the soil only after passing through the alimentary canal of the hooded crow. So these olive trees become sown by birds. So these olive trees form from fallen drupe. This fallen drupe is what? Indehiscent fruit that has a outer fleshy layer. Inside of that is a hard layer, and inside of that it's a seed, a kernel, which is what Cornelius means. But they form from fallen drupes. Why? Because these drupes fall from these trees, and as they fall from these trees, these birds eat the drupe. And when the birds eat the drupe, the fleshy part, the shell, what's left is what? The seed. And the seed is sown. Why? Because it comes through the alimentary canal of a hooded crow. When you look in the human body, what's the alimentary canal? The alimentary canal is also called digestive tract. pathway by which food enters the body and solid waste are expelled. Oh, well, and I'll put a picture up in post production. The alimentary canal includes the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. So now you understand how these wild olive trees become scattered. Why? Because the drupes fall from the trees, and as they fall from the trees, the birds come, they eat the drupes, and they fly across different lands. And after they eat the drupes and they digest it, they shit out the seed out their stomach. So they may have eaten the seed from Galilee, but they may have flew 40 miles away somewhere else and shitted the seed out. The seed, so it was sown, meaning it was scattered, and then when it hit the soil, what happened? It it germinated, meaning it began to grow. So they ate the drupes that fell from a tree. When they ate the drupes that fell from the tree, and they digested it, and it flew across different lands. When it finally came time for them to shit out the seed, which was left inside their stomach, it fell in the land. And when it fell in the land, it began to germinate in the soil, it began to grow. In most neglected olive groves, numerous little bushes of the wild olive may be seen, which, though very unlike the cultivated tree, having a shorter, smaller, and greener leaf and a stir, more prickly stem, are nevertheless derived from it. As a rule, the wild olive is but a shrub, but it may grow into a tree and have small but useless berries. So wild olive tree is basically useless. Where groves of wild olives are found in Palestine, they are probably always the descendants of cultivated trees long ago destroyed. Let's read a little more about a wild olive tree. As a rule, the wild olive is but a shrub with small leaves, a stem more or less prickly, and a small hard drupe, but with little or no oil. So it's basically useless. That a wild olive branch should be grafted into a fruitful tree would be proceeding useless and contrary to nature. Why would it be contrary to nature? Why would you graft a useless branch into a good tree? Why would you graft in the Israelites that fell away back into a good tree? That's contrary to nature. Wait a minute, hold on, wait. They fell off. They ain't believe. Why is it that they could come back into the fold? They fell off. That's contrary to nature. Just how it's contrary to nature. Why? To graft a bad branch, a useless branch from a wild olive tree into a tree of goodly fruit, or an olive tree of goodly fruit. Now let's go back to Romans 11 once again. Romans 11 and 17. And if some of the branches were broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree, were grafted among them. Stop. Grafted among them. We're not going to go into the Greek yet. We're going to see what is grafting. We don't know what that is. Let's look it up. Wikipedia. Grafting or graftage. In fact, I'll look a little bit more on the olive tree as well, wild olive tree, just so you brothers can get a little more insight on it. This is from Isidore of Seville's Etymologies, Complete English Translation. Number 61. It tells you what a wild olive tree. Wild olive is named oleaster because it is an uncultivated wild tree, which is bitter and unfruitful. Its leaves, though white, resemble olive leaves. A branch of olive inserted. That's the main point. Look at the word wild in the freedictionary.com. Wild, occurring, growing, or living in a natural state, not domesticated, cultivated, or tamed. So now you got a better understanding of what a wild olive tree. Let's go back to Romans 11 and 17, and let's deal with that word grafting. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree were grafted among them, and with them, that's the point I want to get. Thou being a wild olive tree were grafted among them. We don't know what grafting is. What the hell is grafting? I don't know what it is. Well, let's look it up. Grafting. Wikipedia. Grafting or graftage is a horticultural technique. What does horticulture mean? Let's look it up. Horticulture is technically the science, technology, and business involved in intensive plant cultivation for human use. Now let's go back. Grafting is a horticultural technique which is cultivating plants for human use, whereby tissues from one plant are inserted into those of another so that the two sets of vascular tissues may join together. Wait a minute. What is vascular tissue? Let's look that up. Vascular tissue is a complex conducting tissue formed of more than one cell type found in vascular plants. The primary the primary components of vascular tissue are the xylem and phloem. So now we know that grafting is a horticultural technique, which is what cultivating plants for human use, whereby the tissues from one plant are inserted into another, so that two sets of vascular tissues may join together. Vascular tissue is made out of the primary components of what? Xylem and phloem. What is that? Xylem. Xylem is one of the two types of transport tissue in vascular plants. Phloem is the other. The word xylem is derived from the Greek word xylon, meaning wood. The best known xylem tissue is wood. Though it is found throughout the plant, Its basic function is to transport water, but it also transports some nutrients. But it said phloem as well is a part of vascular tissue. Phloem in vascular plants, phloem is the living tissue that carries organic nutrients known as photosynthate, in particular sucrose, a sugar to all parts of the plant where needed. In trees, the phloem is the innermost layer of the bark, hence the name derived from the Greek word folios, meaning bark. The phloem is concerned mainly with the transport of soluble organic material made during photosynthesis. This is called translocation. So now we know that grafting is a horticultural technique, which is the science, technology, and business of cultivating plants for human use, but where the tissues from one plant insert into another so that the vascular tissues may join together. And vascular tissue is comprised of the two primary components of xylem and phloem. But xylem is comes from the Greek word xylon, meaning bark, meaning wood, and phloem comes from the Greek word folios, meaning bark. In the vascular tissue, the xylem and the phloem is used to transport the nutrients, right, and water throughout the plant. So grafting is a technique, is a horticulture technique, which is the business of cultivating plants for human use, and taking tissues from one plant and putting it into another, so that the vascular tissue can join together, and the vascular tissue is made up of xylem and phloem, which transport nutrients and water throughout the plant.